Peggy. I'll be coordinating this Dean's panel for you. So today I would just like, if everybody can welcome our guests today. They're going to be giving a brief introduction of themselves and which school they're from, and then from there we'll just keep on going with the questions. So we'll start off.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chuck Vega. I'm a professor in family medicine at UC Irvine, and I'm also a director of UC Irvine's program in medical education for the Latino community.
I'm Danny Teriguchi. I'm at Johns Hopkins University. I'm Assistant Dean of Student Affairs there, Assistant Professor of Pediatrics as well.
Hi, I'm Joyce Saki. I'm Dean for Multicultural Affairs and Global Health at Tufts University School of Medicine in Boston. I'm also Associate Professor in Medicine.
Hi, I'm Dr. Angela Nuzzarello, and I'm the Associate Dean for Student Affairs at Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine, which is not in California, it's in Michigan, in southeastern Michigan, and we're a new school. We just finished our 8th week of instruction with our first class.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
My name is Ted Hall. I'm the Assistant Dean for Student Affairs / Admissions at the David Geffen School of Medicine. I'm also a Professor of Pediatric Radiology, and I teach in the 3rd, 4th year curriculum as well.
Thank you for your introductions. A very popular question that we have is just, what makes your school unique, and what is the added value of going to your school? And again, this question is for everyone. We can start off with let's start off with Dr. Vega.
Okay. Well, I think you'll hear from all of us that we've got very strong educational programs with an excellent mission to teach. We've got research available. We have wonderful clinical opportunities and outreach opportunities as well. Yes? All right, good. I think that, and I actually asked some colleagues, well, what makes UCI special? And I came up with some answers. I think that one thing we are really moving forward is the idea of using technology in medical education. We've invested a ton in our new Medical Education Resource Center, which extensively uses clinical models. So you can talk to the patient, you can poke the patient, you can actually, kill the patient, and 10 seconds later the patient will be rebooted and brought back to life, so you can do it all over again. All our curriculum is installed on the iPads, which the students receive on their first day, so all your books, resources, heart sounds, anatomy textbooks, it's all right there for you. And I think that technology saves the students time and creates greater collaboration, because I think that's one other special thing about UCI is there's a strong spirit of collaboration amongst the students. They're very friendly, they're very happy. We've got a couple with us today at the tabling event, so please come by and say hello and see if I'm right or wrong. And in addition, there's a great collaboration between the faculty and the administration, everyone right down to our staff and our students. Right now we have a wellness program. It's a new venture. We've revamped it at UC Irvine, and the cool thing is it's being done with student and faculty leadership. So it's really a collaborative effort between the two groups. We're very excited about that and seeing where it can go, and we've got lots of examples of how that type of teamwork and collaboration creates a better learning environment and ultimately really does create better patient care as well.
So at Johns Hopkins, I'd say there's several things that make it stand out. One of it is our student population. I think the students are highly collaborative. When they work through the curriculum, as you'll find out that medical education is much like drinking water through a fire hydrant. So it's a tough transition, and a lot of our students will share notes. We have a wiki set up where people have different study guides to how to stay for an exam differently. So it's highly collaborative, and everybody wants to see everybody do well in the school. So I think we try to stand out that way. Another is our curriculum, which is we call Genes to Society. It's really looking at patients holistically, looking down to the molecules, to societal factors. And so we really try to integrate that throughout the curriculum in many different ways so that you're looking holistically at the patients. The other part that I say is very unique to Johns Hopkins is Baltimore, the city itself. I know a lot of students have probably seen The Wire and what that plays and seeing the Baltimore community, but I think one of the richest parts of our context are the residents themselves that play a huge role in shaping our hospital, to our students' curriculum, either through community service, to patient correlations, to the way that we try to interact with the community. And some of our students have said that one of the great advantages is getting into the East Baltimore community where Johns Hopkins sits and really seeing medicine practice in multiple different facets, whether you're in the hospital, to health education, to working with the community around health literacy. So it's really, I think Baltimore is a great resource for a lot of our students.
So as I mentioned earlier, I represent Tufts University School of Medicine, and I can say that we could pretty much say the same things that our colleagues have mentioned about Tufts, about being a great place to get an education that is collaborative. So I had to think about what makes Tufts University School of Medicine unique. A couple of years ago, we essentially overhauled our entire medical curriculum. It was a major effort that took a couple of years in the planning and then implementing. And the goals of that is that we now have an integrated curriculum that allows first-year medical students to start seeing patients literally as soon as you start medical school. It also allowed us to bring clinicians into the preclinical years. It used to be that basic scientists would teach basic science for 2 years, and then third year you would go on to learn from clinical experts. Now what we've done is that we brought clinical experts and basic scientists together so that they're teaching basic science courses, but right away you get the sense of why it is important to learn a certain concept in physiology, for instance. So for instance, I teach in a course called Medical Foundations 1, and in the biochemistry block, which is as basic science as you can get, I teach on breast cancer and use breast cancer as an opportunity to elaborate how biochemical advances have allowed us to better diagnose and treat patients with breast cancer. The other aspect of our curriculum is the heavy use of simulation. We have a state-of-the-art simulation center that I know my colleague mentioned as well, that allows you to actually get hands-on skill set as soon as you start medical school, and students spend a ton of time there with standardized patients as well as simulated patient situations. A big piece of our curriculum reform was actually to reduce our lecture hours drastically. We believe that this generation of students don't learn passively, that you all don't like to just sit in the lecture hall from 9 to 5, as I did when I was in medical school, and just listen to lecture after lecture. So what we've done is we've broken things into small group discussions now. There's problem-based learning, case-based learning, and the lecture is really reduced to a comfortable minimum, but right after the lecture, there's also opportunity to discuss in small groups the concepts that have been introduced. The other aspect about Tufts that is important is its location. We're located on the Boston campus of Tufts University, and right there on that campus, we have 2 other graduate schools. We have the School for Nutrition as well as the dental school. So there's a lot of collaboration that goes on, and in fact, the future of healthcare is interdisciplinary, interprofessional collaboration. And our students get a chance to start doing that as soon as they walk through the door. And then the final aspect that I want to point out is that Tufts University has a value which we refer to as active citizenship, which is encouraging you to give back to the community. And by community, we define it as narrowly as Chinatown, which is where Tufts University School of Medicine is located, but also globally. So I'm Dean for Global Health, and the school is committed to giving resources to our students to do community service as well as learn from global health around the world. We have a number of global health opportunities that our students participate in.
Well, I'd like to add to some of the things I've already heard from my colleagues and tell you what's a little bit different about Oakland University William Beaumont School of Medicine. First of all, as I mentioned, we're a brand new school, and those of us who came to Michigan to build this school spent many years at other institutions. I was at Northwestern University Feinberg School of Medicine for 17 years before I left to come start this new school. So what's really neat about it, and the reason a lot of us left where we were to go and start something new, is that we brought experience and what we had learned over the many years in medical education to bring to a new school and kind of start from scratch. So we didn't have to rebuild a curriculum. I know how hard that is. We could build our curriculum from the bottom up the way we wanted it to be, and we do have an integrated curriculum. One thing that's, I'll mention just two things. One thing that's a little different about OUWB is we have, in the first 2 years, we have master educators. So those are people who come in to teach in the basic sciences with the clinicians, but their main purpose is to teach. So it's not that they're in a biochemistry department and they're doing research in biochemistry and they just come in and do a lecture and then leave. So we don't have 250 people coming in the first year to give one lecture. We have these basic master educators whose focus is education. So their research that they do is in education. And we have them as kind of the cornerstone of our curriculum. The other thing that I think sets us apart is our student-centered approach. The student is really at the center of everything. And if you come and visit our school, you'll see that even the way we designed our space, the Center for Medical Student Services is in the center. And the classrooms and everything else, is right there around. We believe that we have a culture that started with the dean of our medical school, that every single person we hire, not just the students we take, but every person that we hire needs to believe in the culture that we've created. We treat each other as family, and the students are now part of that. And we believe that the way we treat each other and the way we treat our students will eventually be the way our students will treat their patients. So we have a culture that is unique, and it's the reason why a lot of people left other places to come and help start this new school. And like I said, we just finished our 8th week, and we have an awesome group of students. We like to call them our pioneers because we needed special kind of students to help get this school up and going. So hope you have a chance to learn a little bit more about us.
Hi. Ways that we are special at the David Geffen School of Medicine include a number of the things that my colleagues have already talked about. And for those of you who didn't know, problem-based learning is probably pioneered at the University of California, Los Angeles School of Medicine. We began doing this back in 1994, I believe, when Dr. Luann Wilkerson joined our dean's office as a senior associate dean of medical education. So we have a long experience with that, and similar to most problem-based curriculums that have developed since then, we have roughly about 10 hours of lecture per week in our classroom settings for our students. Our students also participate in small group discussions, which are usually based on a theme for that particular week, whether it be cardiovascular or renal or pulmonary or GYN problems or endocrine problems. And the small groups are usually conducted by either both our basic science faculty and our clinical faculty, who have been infused into the first 2 years now. So that's really the layout of the first 2 years. The second part of your education, your clinical education, will primarily be divided up amongst several different hospital programs that we have. We have roughly about 8 affiliated institutions that we work with that are part of our clinical rotations for our 3rd-year medical and 4th-year medical students. They include 2 county hospitals, a community hospital, the major medical center, which is Ronald Reagan. It's a level 1 trauma center and a quaternary care medical center. We have a VA hospital also associated with it, and at least one other community hospital and a private, semi-private institution where our students can actually rotate through. All of those provide for a very varied hospital experience, different kinds of experience for our students to learn how to practice medicine in different hospital environments with different systems of healthcare that are associated with them. The fourth thing that I think we would like to accentuate here is the fact that we have multiple degree programs for our students. Being a medical school that's based on a university campus, there's access to multiple degree programs in different departments. And as a result, we have students who actually pursue a master's in business administration, master's in public health, master's in science, as well as our PRIME program, which is a 5-year degree program focused on students who want to become leaders in underserved medicine. Those students also will, in their 5th year, pursue a additional degree in any one of those departments that I just mentioned on our campus. And then finally, I think our greatest resource is really our student body. They are the ones who we think are the ones that are driving force around a lot of the things that happen for us in our medical school. It's a very diverse group of students, and for the most part, I think a very happy group of students, very happy with their education and what they are experiencing at the David Geffen School of Medicine, primarily, I think, because they are empowered to do and to participate in committees and in discussions and changes that will happen in the environment for them.
Thank you. Next question is for Dr. Vega. What is your school's cultural attitude towards primary care, and can you give us some examples?
That's perfect for me, because I'm a physician in family medicine, and well, my best examples are my patients. We forge a strong alliance, not just with our patients at UCI, but with our communities and students and residents and staff are very much involved with that. And the leader of that pack, of that little family, is the patient, her himself. And so yesterday, when I had one of my patients who I've seen for the last 15 years, it was my last patient of the day, I gave her some good news, and she kissed me 5 times. I counted. And she was so excited afterwards that while the medical assistant, who really did kind of want to go home, the family only goes so far, it was 6:30, she was trying to give her a flu shot, and the patient was bouncing up and down, and the medical assistant was like this with the needle. I was like, give it a second. I mean, that's where you feel it, because the student was there, nurse practitioner student was there. I mean, it's really all about becoming and showing that dynamic model of patient-centered care, which is respectful and culturally sensitive. It starts there, and then we use that to build back our support across the administration, across the school, and we really do try to give as much as we can of that feeling to the students. And we don't necessarily have to work too hard at that, because our students go out and take it. They're not waiting for us. They formed independently this tremendous enterprise called the UCI Outreach Clinics that sees homeless patients, that sees patients with no other resources for their health care. They have medical initiatives against homeless. They do outreach. I know a lot of you are mentors, maybe to high school students or your fellow college students. We mentor everywhere, from elementary school all the way through college. And so they see the way of giving back, because to me, all of that focuses on primary care, actually. I think you can't separate one from the other. I think it's part and parcel of what we do for our patients and for our community.
Thank you. This next question is for Dr. Saki. What is or are the most important characteristics of an applicant to you?
As I mentioned earlier, we have some core values that we celebrate and believe in at Tufts University School of Medicine, and one is active citizenship. So the kinds of students that we look for, and in fact the kinds of students who are attracted to Tufts, are students who want to make a difference. And they want to make a difference sometimes before they get their degree, quite frankly. So our students tend to be very actively involved with the community. In the city of Boston, there's plenty of work that can be done, just like in any other inner city. And our students are engaged in tutoring in the Boston public school system. They are involved in our summer programs that bring high school students to campus for the summer to hopefully inspire them to go into medicine. So we're looking for the kinds of students who want to be actively engaged with the community and make a difference. The other aspects that is important to us when we look at a candidate is obviously we have an academically rigorous program, so we want a student who want to be engaged in the program, but we also want students who are willing to help have their education evolve, self-directed learners. In other words, we have students who serve on curriculum committee who are constantly giving feedback about the curriculum, and so generally speaking, we're looking for students who are willing to share input, thoughts, not necessarily somebody who wants to passively sort of receive the education. And then obviously we want somebody who has the academic credentials that would allow them to succeed at a school like Tufts as well.
Thank you. On the same note, this question goes out for Dr. Hall. How do you feel about a deterred admission, and how does your med school feel about that?
By deterred admission, I assume you mean like a deferred admission.
Deferred,
a person who we've accepted and then requested deferment. We're pretty narrow about our willingness to grant deferments. I have to be very honest about that. Most of our students who will request a deferment, usually at the time of admission, before they matriculate to the class, will probably get one based on a very narrow set of circumstances. Could be related to health reasons or something of that nature. We feel that most students should have made decisions about their admission, whether they want to attend the medical school prior to their matriculation there or their application even. And if they do have, let's say, something that does come up, we take it on a case-by-case basis. So we will evaluate them in terms of that. But we don't like to offer deferments on a regular basis. We think that if you've applied that particular year, you're ready to go.
Thank you. This next question is for Dr. Teraguchi. Are there any disadvantages or advantages to submitting my AMCAS application before my MCAT scores are in?
I think it really depends on an individual basis about the advantages, disadvantages. And we often tell students to really look at their own situations of where they are in terms of submitting their application before they have their MCAT scores in. We get this question a lot because they'll do the application process. I'm not sure what their MCAT scores are, whether they'll be in a mid-range, whatever that may mean for the students, to a high range, and then if they decide not to apply again. And it's really based on an individual circumstance that we begin to look at, because the scores will come in. We want to know what your decision was in making that particular choice. And I think understanding the maturity of it, was it the timing of it? Was it because you weren't prepared for it? Was it because of other social circumstances? So it's really understanding the context, what's advantage or disadvantage. It's really hard to tell for students. I think it's really understanding what decisions did they make and understanding why, and understand that context of how that particular applicant went about choosing the timing of the MCAT, knowing when the application deadlines are for many of the medical schools, and understand the circumstances around that. I'm sure my colleagues will add to that as well.
Thank you. And this is going to be the final question for Dr. Saki. How important is diversity in prospective students' application, and what sort of diversity experiences do medical schools look for an applicant?
So at Tufts University School of Medicine, we define diversity broadly, not simply in terms of who what you look like on the outside, so not just based on race and ethnicity, but diversity in every form, including religion, you name it. We have actually a robust statement that sort of describes that. So our general approach to reviewing applications, we use the holistic approach, which is the WMC recommended approach. And so we're looking generally at an applicant, not just in terms of the hard numbers, but also in terms of what diversity they will bring to Tufts. And that includes, by the way, geographic diversity. As I sit here, I'm delighted to tell you that after Massachusetts and a couple of other New England states, California always ranks very high in terms of the number of students in the Tufts class. And so I feel like there's a special connection between between California and Boston. So we're looking for geographic diversity. We're looking for diversity of intellectual diversity. We're looking for a class that is vibrant enough so that it will become a place where other students can learn from each other.
Thank you. If we can give a round of applause to our panel today, thank you again.